on 88 minutes, you have every reason to think you've just won the game. And 10 minutes later, you've lost it.
It was not my thought in that moment that we won the game because then still was 10 minutes to go. But yeah, it could have been. And I think also we deserved to win this game. But yeah, you don't always get what you deserve.
The goal, the Arsenal's second goal, did you feel there might have been a foul on Johnny Evans as the corner came into Declan Rice? It seemed like Evans might have been blocked off a little bit and therefore it flicks him and hits the post and goes in. Was that your thought?
You're making the point. Absolutely. And yeah, can't be that this goal is given, especially not anymore in that moment in the game. It's clear foul on Johnny. Can't be in. So there were more mistakes. Fall on Rasmus Højlund in the box, not given. The penalty taken, are given. What's later on reject. And I think it's not offside.
Are you, at the moment, you have quite a few new faces at the club. You brought in some more faces this week. Is it going to take a little while before you can get that consistency? You've won 2, you've lost 2. You need to get more consistent.
Yeah, if you only look at the result, it's true. But I look more in how we step up. And if you see from the Wolves game into this game, you see absolutely big progress. I think there was tonight, there was a team. Played very well, very compact, was very good on the ball as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with this performance and with the progress in our performance in a lot of head moments of the game.
Is it frustrating then, Eric, when you lose a game, that you then have to say goodbye to your players, most of them, because it's internationals?
It's always difficult, yeah, and that's why I said them after the game, we did well, we make progress, and you stick to the plan, have to believe, then you will see. We will, in the future, we will win games like this, but you have to take as you deserve it. Now, yeah, we have to say goodbye, stay fit, win your games, get back, and we will continue.
I love the mentality, I think the determination the team shows to go and go and go against any opponent. We want to go and we want to win, and the draw is not enough.
I just spoke to Declan Rice a few minutes ago. I mean, he's sort of a bit overwhelmed, I think, by the whole experience.
Big matches for big players, and I think he was tremendous today. He dominated the middle of the park. He was really present. He really understood what the game needed. I think he gave us a lot of momentum in many occasions when the team was a little bit in the edge, and then he produced a magic moment at the end to win us the game.
Congratulations. That was Rice Baby, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was prime vanilla ice, that. Featuring myself.
Ice in the veins as well.
No, look, honestly, my mouth's really dry. What a moment, what a moment to score. So many people told me that I'd score today. It's weird, like staff members and players had a funny feeling, and I was getting myself into good positions, but to finish that one off and get the 3 points, I think you can see the relief. I'm still recovering now.
It was every bit an Arsenal-Manchester United game in terms of drama, big VAR decisions and everything. I think most people would feel that Arsenal deserved to win it. I'm sure you do. Yeah,
we was knocking at the door constantly. I think we had the more of the chances. Their chances were coming more from counter-attacks, that we was giving away sloppy balls. But in the end, I think we thoroughly deserved it. It would have been horrible to have conceded the goal Nacho one. So luckily enough, he was offside. But yeah, fine margins in football, and these games you need to be winning them. If you want to be competing at the top, this is what you got to keep doing. You got to keep probing, knocking at the door, keep going, and yeah, it's just such a special day.
I think it was the 12th corner that, from which you scored.
That's the thing. You got to keep going. You got to keep believing in what you're working on. Keep to the strategies, what the coaches are wanting us to do. And I think in the end, to bring the ball down and get a shot off like that and score. To be honest with you, it all happens in a split second. I'm honestly feel like my head's so clouded with things. It's going to take a moment to digest, but on the 12th corner to score, it was coming for sure.
Have a look tonight. I think you'll enjoy it.
He'll be on. He'll be on tonight. Don't worry about that.
Thank you very
Top
much.
man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Well played. Cheers.
Ten Hag said he thought United deserved to win. You'd disagree, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. I didn't think United were at the races today. I thought they were poor. I think the game's steeped in history. We know that. The one thing it wasn't steeped in was quality. We've seen so much quality in this fixture throughout the years, but this was a game sadly lacking in it. And it only really came to life in probably the last 20 minutes or so.
Lots of praise for Declan Rice, understandably. And Arsenal set pieces all day today actually caused problems for Manchester United, and yet they didn't seem to pick up on the role of Declan Rice.
No, they didn't. Man United, they line up zonal first and foremost, and what Arsenal did is they loaded the back post quite heavily, and Manchester United just couldn't get to grips with it. Early on in the game, there's Declan Rice. A lot of the Arsenal players run to the near post. Declan Rice is at the back, and not a lot of the time it was Eriksen that was closest to him. Second corner comes in, 3 players this time at the back post, and they've still not quite adjusted, Manchester United, to the issue they've got at the back post. And then now it's cost them. Back end of the game, Stephen, I mean, to be left with that much space and time, I mean, that's criminal.
It's beyond me, because these days around the football ground, there's analysts from both teams who watch it, who are relaying messages down to the bench straight away. How they've not spotted that, and at half-time said, listen, we've got an issue at the back post. They will have spotted it. They'll have seen that straight away. And then it's up to the players to say, right, we need to sort this out. And the other thing is that if I'm Johnny Evans on the last one, I'm saying, I need help. Put my hand up, and I'm literally put my hand up. Listen, someone needs to pick him up at the back post. This can't happen later on in the game.
It can't be that hard, can it, to take one of the 3 people you have on the front post and put one of them on the back post?
Like moving one, when you're in a structure like zonal marking, if you move one, it has an impact on everybody. So you kind of have to move as a structure, whether you take 2 steps towards the edge of the 6-yard box or 2 steps back. You have to do it together. This issue, the first couple of corners were in the first half. They've been done in the last minute. That should have been dealt with at half-time. Eriksen should be saying, listen, I've got a problem back post. Half-time, this is what we're going to do to adjust. You don't have that, that winner in the last minute.
Arsenal play some really good stuff today that just fits in with what we see from them week in, week out with their identity.
Yeah, and they have a very clear identity of what they're trying to achieve. They want to get wingers isolated in 1v1 positions, but the main objective is to move players into positions where they find space. That sounds really basic and really simple, and you think, but they get players in great positions. They find Zinchenko in this position, then they find Odegaard in that position, Saka. But what you find with these positions is they've never got any pressure on them, so they find acres of space in Nketiah. And then as the ball comes out to Odegaard in this position, how's no one closing him down? How's he found that space on the edge of the box? That's far too easy, but it's worked on in the training ground. Look at the movement from Nketiah, drawing Lindelof into that midfield area. Then the gap between Wan-Bissaka and Martinez is far too big. That allows Kai Havertz to step into that space, to understand now, I need to become that front man. You look at Saka in this position. He's now in the central position. Ben White now realises, I have to become the wide man. That is a brilliant ball. Saka should be scoring it. The 1- and 2-touch football that Arsenal play and the tempo which they play at is so difficult to play against.
So that it becomes second nature to them?
Yeah, it does.
Because it's drilled as much as it is.
Yeah, you mentioned a player before, Declan Rice, and he said, I'm learning about the way that Arsenal play. And it's like a new game to me. It's an understanding of how to play a system. Yeah. He's learning to play that system and how it works. But for the players who are already in that system and understand it, it works seamlessly. It's very impressive to watch.
In a system and understanding it.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously the opposite side of the scale we're about to talk about now of Manchester United. And we've all been watching United for a long period of time. I've always thought of Ten Hag. What's your plan to score goals? Because I've never quite seen it as clear as we can see it with someone like Arsenal. Now, if I'm Erik Ten Hag, I've got to think, what is my best route to goal? So you've got to get the ball to the wide players. Anthony, Rashford, or Fernandes, or to your strikers. You saw there, Lindelof has an opportunity to get the ball out of his feet, fire it into your wide men, and let him have a 1v1. They pass on the opportunity to give Anthony the ball. And now they do this thing that actually I don't mind. They get Wan-Bissaka from a right back area and they take him into like a midfield area where he goes to try and isolate, on this occasion, Zinchenko, which he's doing now perfectly. But Lindelof's got the ball. Anthony's screaming at him, give me the ball. You've spent God knows how much money on me to go and attack. So Wan-Bissaka's done his job. He's isolated. They've isolated Gabriel. It's the perfect time to give him the ball, 1v1.
He's still there.
Still there. But they ignore him, and then Arsenal go, you know what, let's do a half press and see if they can get through us. No, they end up back at Onana because they didn't have, I suppose, that intensity or know-how just to give the wide men the ball. This time, they're in a much more advanced position up the pitch and they're set up perfectly. Dallow's isolating White. Wan-Bissaka is isolating, on this occasion, Tomiyasu. Now, the problem they've got is Wan-Bissaka's doing the job he wants, it's just the wrong player. Because if that's John Stones, if it's Trent, if it's even Pedro Porro at Spurs, they're turning and they're giving that ball to Anthony, who again, by the way, is very, very frustrated.
Or are already on the half turn to give the ball.
It's exactly that. So for once, actually, I saw a system that Ten Hag is trying to put in place to free up his best players. But he hasn't quite got the personnel.
I mean, look at him.
I know.
On the one hand, you shouldn't laugh, but actually, there's an element of sympathy for him here, isn't there? Because he's quite a divisive figure.
He is. Look at his half press again from Arsenal, by the way. And he is a divisive figure. But at the same time, you just got to feed these types of players, and then eventually get some ridiculous ball up the line. Yes, he's offside, but he's like, you should have given me this ball 5 minutes ago. He's heavily frustrated. And he's getting a lot of criticism as well, by the way, and he wants to prove himself. And I thought I saw that for about, half the game today, but they're not giving him the ball.
The positive, I suppose, from a Manchester United point of view, the 20-minute cameo from their new striker.
Yeah, he was impressive when he came on. I think when you look at Anthony Martial, struggled in the game to have any impact on it. Straight away, I'm thinking, what type of player is he? What are we going to see from him? He's a physical player, one who wants to get involved. Gabriel, he's had it easy all game. At centre-half, no problem. Højlund straight away, but there's no backup from the midfield. They've seen that from the first case and gone, hang about, this guy's a physical attribute, he's going to be good for us. Then you get Bruno, you get Anthony running past. Suddenly you get numbers now attacking the back line because they've got a foundation to build off, someone who they can hit. Look at the physicality. Look at Gabriel now. Now he realises, I'm in a game here. This is going to be so difficult. It's going to be a different challenge for me. And as it comes into him here, we talk about Martial, we talk about the physical side of things. He's got both. He's got pace. Now he's stretching the pitch. He's getting in behind. Erik ten Hag wanted a penalty on this one. He is positive. He goes inside. I don't think it's a penalty. I think it's just a coming together between the players. And then as this one comes to him, I don't think this ball's aimed to him. I think it's aimed at Casemiro. But he's the one who's clever. He's the one who's inventive. And but for half a yard of Garnacho just going a fraction too early, it could have been a clinical goal, but he was the positive today.
Welcome back. The reaction from both managers to Arsenal's 3-1 win over Manchester United on its way after we've brought you a little insight onto what it's like watching with these three gentlemen, and particularly these two, Messrs Schmeichel and Wright, when Arsenal and Manchester United meet. Sit back and watch this.
Look at us. We're gorgeous.
What is he doing?
Handball!
Oh my God.
Handball! Handball, isn't it? Oh!
Oh my God, as soon as he's on the left.
Yay! Come on!
You're being really biased now.
Ah, he's off! He's got to go! Send him off!
Oh my God!
Oh!
Honestly, I really do support Man United. Oh my God.
We'd never have guessed.
My God.
So biased.
I now know why I'm in my house, I'm watching all the games on my own. You know, nobody wants to watch the games with me.
We didn't have any choice.
You get paid. You get paid to do it. So that's different.
Peter, man, you're kidding. You don't even enjoy your own goals, what you score. You just, hey.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
I love it.
I'm leaving all that to you.
It's a good job Michael and I were here to ask for a little
by the way.
neutrality, wasn't it? So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, his equaliser in the first half. It was some second half and very eventful ending. Before we see Declan Rice's big moment, well, I was going to say, can we clear up? Is it possible to clear up whether it was a corner to Arsenal?
I think if we're going to be really nitpicking about it, that you look at it and obviously Martin's going to appeal for it, but I'm trying to see if you can see the trajectory of the ball, then if he's hit somebody, it would start spinning, and I can't see from there whether it can, but whether we can see it from there. But he's instantly. See, the ball looks like it's just moving, and you can't see no spin. And what would happen is that spin would, if it hits something, it just naturally puts top spin on it. And that's why we was thinking, well, you know, you're naturally going to appeal because you want to get the corner. So
what are you saying? Was it a corner or not?
It didn't seem like I can't clear up whether it's a corner or not.
Simple yes or no.
Well, I can't see if it's a corner or not. I'm just trying to explain, Peter, why I don't think it is. There's no spin on the ball. So
was it a corner? Yes or no?
Yeah, probably yeah. Yeah, because you don't want to hear that. So I'm going to tell you what. We can't clear it up. How can you clear it up? You know, but they've given it, and it's the difference in it. That's the margins.
Difficult, right? Margin. They are so tight. The offside, is it offside? Is it not offside?
What do you think about the corner?
My point is, you know, it's the little things that has this great influence on how the game turns. I personally don't think it's a corner because I think you can, if it hits something, you can see it on the spin of the ball. You can see how it spins. If it hits Eriksen's leg, it's definitely got to have an impact on how the ball's flying. And the spin on it in the air. Michael? And it just looks like he gets under the ball here and, you know, just skies. But of course, he's claiming it.
Yeah,
that's pretty good play.
We've got no way, from these pictures, we've got no way of being sure, have we? That's the bottom line. So Ødegaard did claim as soon as he hit it, but as the lad said, everyone claims, you know, when the ball goes, it's either a goal kick or a corner. So you say, go on a ball, you know, and that's just a natural reaction. On those pictures, it's very, very difficult to say, but the only little hint is the ball.
Yeah.
And when you see the ball, it doesn't look like a deflected shot from the ball, but that's not conclusive evidence.
So, next question is, Johnny Evans, was he fouled before Declan Rice scored?
My instinctive reaction was, yes, he's definitely fouled. I would say, obviously, Riley was flying everywhere in the studio. I said, calm down, you know, it's going to be... it's cancelled out because it's a foul. But when we see it again, it's actually a foul the other way. Johnny Evans is actually putting... So you see that? It's the other way. I think it's really, really bad defending. How can you let Declan Rice, first of all, be free there and then give him that much time when you're 6 minutes into added on time and there are enough players there, Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford, Johnny Evans is on the ground, but there's enough players there to go out and challenge. And then at the end of the day, I know it gets a deflection, but if I'm Onana, I would be a little bit annoyed with myself for not having saved. Yeah, because it's not that difficult. You know, it gets a deflection, he's still getting to it. You know, it's not like he doesn't have to change direction massively. You know, he's still there. It's just, you know, the way. They're little things, you know.
Well,
But
it was the second half of fine margins, wasn't it? So
yeah,
that was one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought Johnny Evans was trying to block Gabriel, so I didn't think it was a foul at all, despite claims. So I thought that was fine, and yeah, I agree. You'd have to look at the goalkeeper there. Does take a deflection. Johnny Evans actually pulls Gabriel out the way in the end. He blocks him there. He tries to block him, and then Declan Rice has sweeped around the back. Does really well to keep it down when a bouncing ball like that. You've got to concentrate. And then it just takes that little deflection off Johnny Evans.
And then here into the crowd of players, that's what I see what you're saying there, in respect, because with some deflections, it deflects and it goes way over that side. Obviously, you ain't got no chance, but with that one again, ain't it though, Pete? He's expecting a different kind of shot though, isn't it? Because he's gone down and then it's deflected and then it's I don't know how you move your arm.
The way I phrased it was, I said that Onana probably will be a little bit unhappy with himself. So it's not like a clear, massive goalkeeping mistake in that respect, because it does get a deflection. It does have an impact on how you dive and where your balance is. You know, sometimes you're so much out of balance that even a hand turn off. But if that was me, I would probably be a little bit annoyed with myself and think.
Rice, echoing exactly what you said right at the start of the day.
Well, I think that, and people know it as well. You know, if you're trying to build a championship run, and you're chasing down a Manchester City, your home games, no matter how early in the season they are, it's vitally important that you win them. You know, away from home, obviously you want to try and get a draw or win, but at home, if you're in the top four and got those aspirations, you have to win those games. That's what I said at the start. I think it's a must-win game, especially with Manchester City winning. You have to just stay amongst it as long as.
One of the reasons for that is you build a castle. You build a castle and it's can't say it.
Impregnable.
Impregnable. You cannot get into it. So when a team gets there, they know that it's going to be difficult. And it's not because the games are then going to be easier, but it makes it easier for you to win once you build that reputation. And of course, we know with Man United, for instance, the theatre of dream, Old Trafford was always their fortress, always. And all of a sudden, it wasn't. Now teams are not afraid to go to Old Trafford anymore. And that's what you have to build. You have to build that castle that is yours. So when you come and visit us here, you get nothing. Absolutely. And then the away games are always a little bit harder. That's where you know, it sounds like you're easing up on your home, but you're not. But that's where you fight and get that little bit extra. And you have to match Man City. That's it. That's why you have to. If you're Arsenal, thinking that you should have won the league last year, then you have to match what they've done and what they're doing.
Just to back you up, City only dropped 5 points at home last season. So that's just a little drawbridge maybe today for Arsenal's capital. So, just a quick word on Declan Rice. How big a moment could that be, the record signing with that fee and all the rest of it so early into his Arsenal career?
I don't care who you are, you know, to feel settled in your new surroundings, to have that price tag around your neck in many ways. It just makes it feel so much better when you score a big goal, when you know the crowd sing your name, when you feel part of it. He's a great character anyway. He'll walk into any dressing room and be part of it straight away. But it just adds that little bit of, you know, it just cements that relationship. You all of a sudden feel, right, I've contributed. Yeah. He had a good, solid game today. He's going to be an important player. It's an area of the pitch where, you know, for many, many years since righties, since the Vieiras and the Petites, they used to dominate every team in that area. And it's been quite weak over a long period of time, but now it looks like a real powerhouse of a position for them. You were asking for Jesus to come off the bench. He'd never scored against Manchester United before. How impressed were you with his coolness and calmness here to settle it once and for all? Well, it's the, you know, we're talking about a period in the game where now, you know, you either run that into the corner, or if you get this situation, you know, if Johnny Evans comes across like that, you know, it helps you. But you're kind of in a situation where even if you miss that, probably going to blow the whistle. But like to say, you know, the calm nature in which he took it, you know, he's aware of his surroundings. He knows he's coming in at pace, and you know, Dalot, and you know, that just kind of like, then it just like everybody's calm now. But you know, you want to see someone like him on that finish.
Yeah. When you talk about Declan Rice getting a lot of confidence from that goal that he scores there, coming off injury and all that, that's gonna send signals through the Premier League now, and other teams are going to be a bit scared of that. And I think that's the sign of a centre forward as well, Steve. You know, imagine the emotion around that stadium, players, fans, everything, and you're running through on goal, and everybody else is, you know, like taking a deep and getting excited, but you've got the presence of mind, the coolness, the calmness to think coldly in front of goal. No, I'm going to fake to shoot. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to cut inside. Gives me the better chance of scoring. It opens the goal up. Right foot slot. It's just that's what centre forwards do, because he's had that chance lots and lots of times. He knows how to finish it. If that was a defender running through, it'd be hit it as hard as you can, or a member of the crowd or anything. And that was just the perfect player at the perfect time to finish the game off. And he goes one ahead of Ian Wright in the goals in this fixture in the Premier League. Sorry, Wrighty, you were smiling too. OK, Peter, your manager says your captain rather says there's a lot of positives to take. A really, really good performance. I think there are spells in the game where it was all right. I don't think at any point it was brilliant, at least not to what I expect of a Manchester United team. I still think, I said this before the game, I still think there are players there that are not doing what they're supposed to do, not running enough, not keeping the ball, not holding on to the ball, and not trying to create what they're supposed to create in the very few situations you get in a game like this. And I think if we take, I mean, we were all waiting for Højlund to come on. We're all waiting for him to make an appearance, to see what's he like. I think in the short space of time that he was on the pitch, he did more damage. He worked much, much harder, did a lot of more good for the team than the guy he replaced. And you go away from home to Arsenal, which is one of the teams that can absolutely claim to be challenging for the championship. Then you have to put everything you have into it. And I don't think as a team they probably did, but individual players did not do enough. And that for me it's disappointing. But there were certain spells in the game where it looked good. The goal that was scored, the pass from Eriksen, the way that Rashford took that. Okay, it was offside. Garnacho came on. He's so exciting to watch. And he was marginally offside, at least judged to be.
Let's have a look at it then, because you were flying out of your seat, understandably, at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a roller coaster, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it really is. I mean, there is really absolutely nothing in it. But let's just look at this 18-year-old young man. It's 1-1. It's one of those big games in the Premier League. And the way that he finished that, I mean, my God, you two guys, you must. I mean, you would have been really proud to do that as well, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
But here we go. It is so tight. I mean,
what's that? The shoulders? I don't know what he's judging that off of. The margins are.
The lines are there.
I don't know. How'd you pick that out? You know what I mean? I'd love to see. But like, I think that if one of the positives, Bruno Fernandes probably talked. I probably think that Garnacho's a positive. I think they've got to find some way of getting a midfielder in their team who can get on the ball, control it, and then you're able to then use the pace of Rashford, use the pace of Garnacho, because they're playing on the counter-attack. I'm listening to Bruno Fernandes talking, and he's saying, yeah, he was happy the way it went. He thought they played really well and that they dug it in. Man United have got the kind of players, and we saw with Garnacho, who I cannot believe doesn't start in front of someone like Anthony, who can come on in that game, even if you're playing in that style of football, he's surely going to be better than what Anthony's going to give you at this particular moment, because we saw it in that little cameo there, what he done. So you could see that for me, Man United for me are only missing that person to get the ball in the midfield and control it and pass it so as they can build up their movement off the ball for me.
But I think the players are there. I think the players.
It's the style of play then, because that looked to me like the goalkeeper's just going to knock it long over to Rashford. They were bypassing the midfield. It's only when the game got when Arsenal got a little bit anxious about Man United, they started to pass the ball around it. That is when I was starting to feel a little bit more nervous about the fact that they're going to pick through us in a minute. But it didn't happen. It happened again on the counter-attack for Garnacho, because Jesus lost the ball and they were in. So if they're going to play like that, then you play with someone like Garnacho with his pace.
Yeah, they've got to be able to get the ball into through into midfield. So when Eriksen plays the ball for the goal to Rashford, that's only because it was a square ball, it was a mistake. Not once have Manchester United managed to pass and find a way, find a midfielder free, turn, and then it was a mistake that caused their goal. For Manchester United, that's not good enough. They've got to be able to play out better. A lot of the time they went long in the first half, and I think, you see all other teams. You see Brighton doing it 100 times a game. You see every team in the Premier League playing, getting spare men in the midfield. Manchester United seem to be failing to be able to pass the ball out into midfield. And as I say, relying on mistakes, and they've got to sort that out.
OK, much more time to discuss the Arsenal's 3-1 win then. And he's the first Arsenal manager since George Graham to beat Manchester United in 3 consecutive home league games. He's still a little bit concerned about finishing teams off.
Yeah, especially with the starts. We've been pretty, concentration at the start, losing goals, starting slowly. And then that kind of like feeds into, when you get into the latter stages of the game, the nerves I feel. You know, you get messages from the stadium all the time and they're feeling the same thing. They're feeling like, oh no, we should have taken some of those chances. We need to be a bit more ruthless earlier on in the game so as we can maybe relax a little bit more at this stage. And you felt it again in today's game. Man United had a spell and then, you know, Garnacho scores the offside goal where I was feeling that was coming. And I think that he knows that as well, because that's in most of the games we're playing at the minute. So just wants us to be a bit more ruthless, and I think that will come. Hopefully it will come.
Happy with the performance, but perhaps when he looks at Manchester United's away record in the last 14 games against the teams that finished in the top 9 last season, they've lost 13 of them, they've drawn 1, they haven't won a single one. 1 point from 42. That was at Spurs. They're actually 2-0 up in that game as well. You're shaking your head profusely, Peter.
I mean, I understand when you come out after a game, and it's not gone your way, and you think you're in the process of building something, that you say things, you know, like you use words like progress and happy with performance, and but I don't think there's too much to be happy about today, if I'm honest. I think started way too deep, and right from the beginning giving the initiative to Arsenal. That also, for me, comes from the lineup, the 11 that he picks to play. I think, I've mentioned this before, there's a couple of players in there that are not suited for the way that he wants to play the game. He wants to play nice football as well. And in order to play nice football, like we saw Arsenal, we've seen Liverpool do that, we saw Brighton yesterday, you have to have options on the ball all the time. But the team doesn't have that. And it should worry him a little bit. He doesn't talk about that. But I understand, you know, he hasn't got many options now in the next 10 days to communicate with his players. So this is an interview where he come out and send messages to his players. They're going away on international break. And what he said to them there is he's quite, you know, happy with the results didn't go that way, but if we keep progressing and we keep performing like that in the future, we will have games like this.
Interpretation of his current team?
Well, judging on what we've just seen there, 1 point out of the last 42 or whatever it was, then now I can understand why he was reasonably pleased, because if you're judging it on the performance over the last few games, then OK, it's been all right, but that's not Manchester United. It's not good enough for me.
I think that Man United are not a million miles away. Obviously, we're seeing Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire's not left yet. But I think they're just probably a couple of players, a proper midfielder, a central defender, away from kicking in, because they're just too good. They're too good to not be doing what they're doing. You look at Garnacho, future. So I don't think they're a million miles away, Man United.
OK, you're going to give us one more smile before we go?
Of course I am, man.
You two going for a nice glass of wine and a bit of a debrief?
Yeah, we will do, yeah. We'll just debrief this.
Yeah, OK. Listen, gentlemen, thank you very much for all your company. A significant day and victory for Arsenal.
Just thinking, watching those scenes, celebration police will be out tonight, won't they? It's only the 4th game. What are you doing? Well, look, it's always been a massive match. I mean, you know that.
Huge, load of history.
Arsenal, Manchester United. And to win it in that manner.
Yeah, because it looked like they were going to lose it. When Garnacho goes through,
Yeah.
you know, you think that's it. You've blown it. And the fans start moaning. All of a sudden, 2 quick goals and everyone's happy, everyone's delighted. And they're back on track. I think it was more than 3 points for both teams. That I think whoever's going to get the points is going to get the momentum. You know, we've got an international break now, unfortunately for Arsenal and for Manchester United. Ten Hag, you know, how is he going to pick them up? You know, he's not going to have an opportunity to do that in the next couple of weeks. So it was really, really exciting for the Arsenal fans and for Mikel Arteta, but so disappointing with Man United. I worry for them, I really do. I just don't know what they got. I don't see any playing identity. Do you, Glenn?
No, I don't. I feel exactly the same. Ten Hag's been in there quite a while now. He's had a couple of transfer windows, and I still don't know what they are. I still don't know what they do, and I feel as though even today they hadn't had a touch in the box before Rashford scored. Yeah. And I feel as though his form last year papered over a lot of cracks, which his goal nearly did today as well. He kept him in the game for a long period. And I expected when Arsenal hit right back through Odegaard, I expected Arsenal to step onto Manchester United and take the game to them. But they didn't. They seemed to sit off, didn't they, Tim?
Absolutely. I mean, they're just waiting for a superstar. They've got match winners. They've got Marcus Rashford. You've got Bruno on his day. Højlund, we don't know what he's going to be able to deliver. Christian Eriksen has his moments. Casemiro. They've got world-class players. But as a team,
they have no identity at the moment.
No playing right. No philosophy of how they want to play, which makes the transition of bringing another player into the side when you get injuries like they have now very difficult. Because what
everyone's got different characteristics. Every position what they have on the pitch, you know, you lose a left back in Luke Shaw, they haven't got another one to come in, you know, with the same characteristics. It's seamless. The best teams, Man City, all right, they've got little tweaks in their formations when someone with different characteristics come into the side, but it's almost seamless the way they want to play. They still have the same principles. They want to play progressive. They want to play forward. Man United just seem to want to, and Ireland looks very comfortable on the ball, gets it down. It takes them an age to get into the opposition half, and when they do, they give the ball away. They haven't got the confidence. They haven't got no patterns of play.
So actually, it didn't take you an age with the goal. Actually, that was at their most effective when they countered quickly for Rashford's goal. Yeah. Actually, very like last season when Rashford scored to put them 1-0 up and they didn't.
Yeah, it was.
Arsenal give the ball away.
I mean, Rashford off the left, it's where he likes playing. And when these are the position he wants to get into, he found himself in a couple of positions like this against Nottingham Forest, and he was devastating last weekend. And here, the same again, but again, papering over the cracks. This is on 27 minutes, and it's the first time a Manchester United player's touched the ball in the Arsenal box. Yeah. I mean, that speaks volumes. Yeah. And like Tim says, the players are there. There just doesn't seem to be any cohesion.
Yeah. It's a good finish. You know exactly what he wants to do. You're Arteta and you're on a touchline now. As soon as Christian Eriksen plays that ball to Rashford, when Ben White goes across, you're saying, please get inside him. Do not let him aim on his right foot. Everyone in the whole crowd knows exactly what he wants to do.
Arsenal struck back well, and you really like the way that Odegaard here, Tim, took up his position.
Yeah, he doesn't go in too early. He just holds his space. He's a very intelligent footballer. Martinelli's pass is exquisite. The weight of pass doesn't give him any control problems, and he just steers it past the goalkeeper, but he just holds out of there. Everyone else drops off. Man United defenders dropping off, and he just steers it into that bottom corner. Wonderful finish from a top draw player.
Yeah, I mean, when I say he's a beautiful footballer, I don't mean his looks. I mean the way he just caresses the football. Everything he does, he's just done with the utmost style, and he just let that ball roll onto him. A couple of steps and bash.
He's
right
clean, isn't he? I mean, he never ever miscontrols the ball. He never gets involved in any untidiness. He's one of them players who just restores order for the team. If the ball's bouncing around, get it to Odegaard, restores order, play, sets the tempo. Magnificent.
Do you think Arsenal are still trying to find their identity this season? You thought they would step onto Manchester United and they didn't. Are they still trying to find a little bit of their identity this season? Because Arteta has played around with some tactics and formations so far.
He has, and he's been questioned for playing around. And I just think I look at Manchester City, who are ever evolving, and Pep's always tinkering, whether it be the inverted fullbacks that everyone seems to be doing now, whether it's winning a Premier League without an out-and-out number 9 when he got rid of one of the world's best in Aguero. So why shouldn't the second best team tinker? And obviously Arteta's learned from Pep. So I think this is a good time in the season to try different things, and obviously Havertz is bearing quite a lot of the flack for that at the moment, which I think is unfair.
But the penny drops there by default today, doesn't it?
What with Partey's injury?
Partey getting injured, played the best back four, which got you the most points last season. When Saliba got injured, it was a catastrophe, wasn't it, for them? I thought they were absolutely fantastic when he played last season. When he's out of the side, him and Gabriel, why would you leave Gabriel at the side? I couldn't understand it. Zinchenko, for me, can handle the ball, especially when you're playing at home. He makes the team tick from the back of the pitch, wants to come into midfield and play as well. I just think that, by default today, it's dropped into his lap. He will stick with that now.
And, of course, Rice was a big summer signing, and for him to get his first goal in a game like this...
What a player.
You know, as Roy Keane's always saying when I work with him, hit the target. I mean, it sounds obvious. You hit the target, Tim, you'll always have a chance.
Well, Glenn knows more about hitting the target than I do, but he knows there's no point. It's late on in the game. What I respect here is a little bit of a block off there, but Declan knows there's no worth heading that back in there for a lottery to see who gets on the end of it. He's going to try and bring it down on his throat, and it's exactly what it does. It gets away from him a little bit. Look, straight in the Adam's apple, and he thinks, well, I'm going to hit the target, gets a little deflection. Anana possibly should do better, but he strikes it very well, and he deserves that. He's a legend of West Ham. That boy, by the time he finishes his career at Arsenal, I guarantee you he'll be a legend as well. Everyone warms to him. He's a lovely man, and he's a fantastic footballer, and he just buys into whatever he's asked to do, he will do. And Arteta is a good teacher for him as well, because the guy wants to listen, he wants to learn.
They're the moments, aren't they, Tim? They are the moments.
I mean, he talked about it, Mikel, with jealousy. I mean, I'm jealous of Mikel. I mean, he's not got a grey hair and he's been managing for 5 years.
Now, you just mentioned there, Gabriel, with quite a clever block-off of Johnny Evans. Our friend Chris Foy is with us. Chris, good evening to you. It was part of the list of grievances, I think we can call it, from Eric Ten Hag. It was quite a long list. Are you happy enough that that was just Gabriel being a strong defender? He and Evans were doing as much to each other, that there wasn't actually a foul in there?
Well, we know when a goal's scored, it's automatically going to be checked, you know, the attacking phase of play, and was it a foul? And I think if there was a foul in there, I think it's Johnny Evans, actually, who fouls Gabriel, so it was checked by the VAR, check complete, and the goal stood, and it's the correct decision.
Yeah. You definitely feel that, not just because you're a centre forward, but actually if we're blowing the whistle for that, we'll never have a game of football, will we?
Every time the ball went in the box, you'd be given a free kick way or a penalty way. I think this is strong. It's part of management. I think Tim will back me up on that. You do block people out. Just buying a little bit of time for obviously Declan in this case to get his shot away. And I think it's cute, clever play by Gabriel.
You'd be saying that to Gabriel, wouldn't you? Be strong, so you give Rice a little bit more time on the shot.
Well, that's the plan. The plan is round the back, Declan's round the back, I'm going to block off the first defender. It happened to be Johnny Evans. He knew as soon as Gabriel was blocking him, he was in trouble, and then he tried to magnify the situation. And that's why he's throwing his arms up in the air, he's shouting at the referees, trying to create something. But unfortunately, there's not enough there for me.
No. Chris, what about the overturned penalty? This was interesting. We don't see this too often with a penalty. Talk us through how you think the process went and whether, in your opinion, the right decision was arrived at in the end.
Yeah, I mean, on field, Anthony Taylor points to the spot and gives a penalty kick. And when I saw it in real time, I actually went, that's a penalty. And obviously, we know that this is one of the 4 areas that's going to be automatically checked by the VAR today. That was Jared Gillett. And when I saw it again, Aaron Wan-Bissaka doesn't do anything. He just stands there, and Kai Havertz goes between and actually kicks his leg and sort of half throws his left shoulder underneath. And in my opinion, you know, Wan-Bissaka's done nothing wrong. He just stands there, doesn't do anything. And Jared Gillett, in his wisdom, said, you know, you better have another look at it. Anthony Taylor did. And he formed the same opinion as me. He didn't feel as though it was a penalty. And, you know, he's quite within his rights to stay with the on-field decision. But obviously, when he's seen it again, it was clearly not a penalty.
It's this clear and obvious error thing, and I think probably looking at it again, are you happy it comes under that category?
Yeah, you know, I'm often very in favour of the striker, but on this one, I am. I think that's the right decision. Back in the day, that would have been given 100%. Back in my day, I would have squeezed through, went down, but no longer. You can't get away with it in VAR.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think there was contact, but the contact comes from Havertz on his left foot and then Havertz on his right foot on Casemiro. It's both time he tries to initiate the contact. And it's his foot, it hits the defender, so good decision.
Yeah, be interested with VAR now. They can really see that the player, the attacker, trying to initiate the contact, which beforehand you wouldn't have known because we wouldn't have had VAR.
I can totally
Yeah, thank goodness you're retired.
Position MRBEAR. Alors, que se passe-t-il? Le buteur Hakim Ziyech est resté au sol.